Come back in. Come on, let's go. Right, we're going to do an update in the folklore hiking stick workshop when I get back there. I'm just going to finish him, or finish giving him his walk, and that job will be ticked off the box. So it's very busy in the workshop, and I'll let you see what's going on. Right then, this is the candy cane that I'm working on at the minute. It's had 2 coats of spray paint. We'll talk about that in a minute. Might not look much at the minute, but that's going to take a lot of work once we get into the workshop with it. And it's a little bit nervous because you don't want to pull the paint off when you start stripping off the stencils and masking tape. So that's being done. I've also got these sticks here. I got a Woodburn and apply the actual boiled linseed oil. Get these out the way. They've got their copper tips on, but I've got to get those done. They've been kicking around for a little bit too long now. I've been focusing on the custom orders at the moment. So there's a lot of time invested in a painted stick, and they're the kind of items which require more time to make than anything with carving or anything like that. Quite simply because of drying times involved. If you've got paint on a stick, you know it's going to be polyurethane varnish afterwards. That's going to be about 2 to 3 coats. You're looking at a day between each coat to fully dry and harden off. So you can have 3 days just in drying time with varnish. And on top of this, you've got a day just for the paint to dry. You put the first coat on, you have to allow that to dry for 4, 6, maybe half a day before you can put the next coat on. I don't have perfect drying conditions in here, but that's what I'm working with. So I could quite easily lose 3, 5 days just in drying of the materials like paint and varnish on this stick alone. But anybody who's worked with spray paints knows that they come heavily watered down with thinners to allow it to spray as you desire it to. So once you've put a coat on, you must walk away from it. Don't be tempted to try and thicken it up, because quite simply all you'll do is cause runs, and any paint that's going off on the stick will just lift back off because the thinners would affect it. But yeah, so there's a lot of time involved in doing a stick like this, but you can quite evidently see I've got stencils now I now have to take off, masking tape, and this is where it gets real for me, because you do not want to damage the paintwork, because if you lift a stencil off and pull paint off, it doesn't look nice. So I've got to be extremely careful. I'm going to sit down in a chair, have a cup of coffee, and I'm going to start cracking on with this. It's a long drawn out process, and yeah, possibly a lot of swearing if one of the stencils won't come off and I'm having to very gingerly dig around it with a pocket knife to try and ease it off the wood. Right, I'm going to have a little slurp of coffee, get my penknife and start on this job. Right, I've got the stick balanced on one leg and it on a cardboard box. Get the trusty pocket knife. And let's have a go at this. I'm just looking at the best part of the stencil to take off. And this one's already stuck extremely firm. There. Oh, I've just got a corner lifted. This is not a style of stick you want to do if you don't have patience. And you have to pull the stencil. You have to pull the stencil and work it around. How can I get this so you guys can see? As you can see, I'm beginning to lift that butterfly off. But you've got to work it around the stick so you don't put any pressure on the paint surrounding the stencil. Put the penknife out the way, I don't want to scratch anything. Right, I'm working around, and I'm hoping I can get the bottom part of the wing off without pulling any paint. Like I said, this isn't a job or a style of stick you want to consider if you're short on patience. So I'm having to try and allow that stencil's just broke on me. There, take a piece of it. There. It's broke on me, so I'll have to work around the bits I've got left on my hands. There. There. Not a perfect example. As you can see, this stencil is breaking up as I take it off. But I'm still being really careful. There. And you've got to be able to work the stencil in the direction that it's actually been applied. That's coming down. And you do not want the stencil itself to touch the paintwork when you take it off, because that can pull paint off as well, because there'll be enough stick left on the stencil. Come on. There. Right, that hasn't come out too bad, the first butterfly. Just to let you have a look there. You can see that butterfly there. There's enough paint around it, and I haven't pulled or marked it too badly, so you can see what that is, and it's come out very nice. I'm going to do a few more because this is extremely long-winded and tedious. You don't need to see me do this. So I've got the stencils off so far, and it doesn't look too bad. I can work with this, so when I varnish it, that will all smooth out and pop back out. But that doesn't look too bad. The other butterflies didn't come out too bad as well. This one here. And that one there. Right, let's take the wrap off now. And this is going to be quite interesting, because this is where it could go totally wrong. So I've just started taking off the masking tape, and I had a little bit of difficulty trying to find where I could get at it without damaging the wood burning underneath. I do these as a basic model, but I've had people like this lady ask for a Pacific wood type of wood burning as well. So this is a custom one. And I'm always very careful when you're taking off, nothing touches the paint, like the stencil or masking tape, because that can take paint off. And I've had a few disasters in the past. And because the paint goes quite deep into the pores of the wood, it's very hard to rectify any mistakes. It is virtually just start all over again. Yeah. Got a dormouse there. One climbing up a corn shoot. And then one sleeping in a ball of hay. Right. Let's work down through here. And I am quite nervous. Because this will look absolutely terrible if you don't get a crisp line. Just pulling it off slowly. As you can see, I'm trying to pull it as the curve rolls. You're probably thinking, why is he videoing this with one hand? I'm a risk taker. There. I'm just following it around. Oh, I'm pulling too far off in that direction. I've got to get back. I'm not going to sound flippant, but it is quite a skill in its own right. Taking masking tape off when... there, I'm safe. Home and dry. Right, I'll put this down now. Right, I've got this one stripped and I'm quite pleased. It hasn't come out too bad. You can see the handle there, all the stencils didn't come out too bad. The wood burning, I've got a wood mouse there. Like I said, you can see it climbing on the sheath. I've got one curled up in its little nest. Ooh. And the candy cane swirl has come out very nice. I've got a central butterfly. And then as we go down the shaft, we've got the swirl. And really nice colours. I'll polish the tip up completely after the varnish has been completed and gone off hard. But for this one now, it's to have its coat of varnish. But I'm going to do all the wood burning, get that finished on these sticks. I'll apply the oil, and then once I've cleaned up from that, I'll do this one, because this will probably be taken indoors to dry. Quite simply because it's more of a controlled environment. Out here, the temperature fluctuates just too much. It can be cold, and if we get mist come up from the valleys, sometimes you can feel like a kind of dampish atmosphere in here. So when I'm doing varnish, as much to my wife's distress and annoyance, sometimes these get hung up on curtain poles in the kitchen. You may have seen that on previous videos, but in any case, this is done. I can start calming down that I didn't pull any paint off. It's come out very well, and like I said, if you're a little bit anxious and you've invested a lot of time in doing any other projects to this stick, this is possibly something you want to practice on a stick that you don't worry too much about. Do one or two, and then you know, move on and do something that you really feel that you want to invest the time in. But yeah, this has come out very well, and I think the customer will be extremely happy with this one. Right, I've got to get this wood burning done. So this is my wood burning setup. I just pull a chair up. I've got my overalls because that's going to go across my lap. Wire brush, pencils, spare tip, a crafting knife. I've brought power over. You can see my soldering iron there. A pair of pliers to adjust the tip. I've got my stick ready to go. I've got a rough, very rough design of a songbird, and that's just giving me an outline to work with. So I'll start wood burning that in a moment. But that's a phone, and it's in an old hexi block burner. They're now illegal. You can't use hexi. I've been for quite a while, but I've still got the actual cooker stand, which I use as a phone stand, and I'll listen to some music or topical debates or something like that. You know, just a little bit of entertainment while I'm wood burning. Obviously I can't watch it because I'm wood burning, but the tip is I grind the tip down to make a point, which you can see there. I think if I get it up like that, you can see I've got a point which I've put on it. It doesn't come like that with this actual soldering iron. I actually get them like that. They come in almost like a traditional screwdriver kind of, see if I can get it to focus there, like that. I think they're like kind of like a nickel coated tip, but I actually take that off with a grinder and make a conical point like you've seen. But they do wear down very quick with heat when you're wire brushing them to get the carbon off, because you have to keep wire brushing them to get the carbon off to actually translate the heat to the wood efficiently to get a good burn. But yeah, this is my little setup. Right, you can see I'm starting to do the wood burning now. The only way, because this isn't really meant, it's a soldering iron, it's not a wood burning tool by any stretch of the imagination. The only way I can effectively wood burn is through the length I hold it on the wood and the pressure I apply. Either more or less of either of those things I've just stated will dictate how much burn I apply to the wood. I would always suggest go and get a proper machine, but like everything in my workshop, my tools have to do 2 or 3 different jobs. What I'm doing there is now pressing really hard. What I'm trying to do is create the outline of the bird, and that will stand out. The reason I have to go harder on the outline is because when I shade it, if I shade it and it's too dark on the inside, it kind of makes the outside look kind of like not quite right. So I want to try and do some feathers, which means I'm holding really hard down on the wood now. And you can see a very small puff of smoke when I pull away from the wood. In effect, I am actually burning a lot into that wood. There. From there, coming into the tail, I've just gone into a line. The reason I've done those there marks there, it just kind of gives the impression of like ragged feathers. Right, coming down over the back, yet again I'm pressing very hard and I'm rolling the wood in the direction I want to go. With this, I only really have one direction of travel I can do, and that is pull backwards. Pushing forward to try and achieve the burn makes it dig in and makes it ragged. I can go off side to side on the backward pull, but going fully 90 degrees sideways, I have very little control on pressure and burn, and it tends to skid off the wood. There, coming back, you can see I'm rolling the wood into it, and as I pull back. Coming into the tail, changing direction. So I'm altering the angle I'm at to allow me to roll that wood. Pulled the wood back. And I'm coming into it again. And just closing the tail. I can't always stay in one position, so I've now got to turn the actual work so I can do what I want to do next. And that is to create the illusion of feathers again. So and because it's the head, I don't want to, because it's the head, I'm only doing very small marks, not like the ones I did on the belly, where I really held the iron down for a long period under pressure to get a deep burn. Very slowly. And now I've got my wood in totally a different direction. I've got it tucked under my arm. I'm going to try and do the top of the head and bring it down to the beak. I'm rolling the wood away from me. There. So that's the outline of my bird there. Right. What I want to shade the top of the head. I'm very gently rolling it, and I'm doing a very fine zigzag. Not too much pressure, but moving it back and zigzagging. There. Doing it on this one here to the eye. You could eliminate a lot of the issues I have here quite simply by having a proper tool and proper wood burning attachments. Right, going to do this wing, rolling the wood away from me. Everything is gripped firm, and it's very slow, deliberate movements, and I'm not putting undue pressure at strange angles. There, moving the wood again. This is me doing the wing now. Putting a curve. Trying to get some of the facial features in now. Zigzagging. There. Now the legs. I'm now coming off the main part of the conical, and I'm just going to use the tip, the pointed bit, because I need to do some fine work. I can't go straight down because it would just slip and dig in. I still have to go at a very slight angle. And I'm using the wood. I'm trying to stabilise with this hand the actual soldering iron, but this hand I'm moving the wood. And like I said, it's always 90% of it is the actual wood working away from me, or the soldering iron coming back. It gives me more control. Like I said, this isn't a how-to. I'm just talking about how I'm doing this at this particular moment, and how I have to adapt to what I'm doing on the wood. There, just doing the feet. There. Put a little claw. So that's what I've got so far. If that makes any sense. You're at a strange angle, but it's the only angle I can with my limited filming equipment. But as you can see, I've got the outline now. Now I want to put a break in the feathers, a coloration break. There. Right, I want to make the chest look fluffy. So I'm going down really fast. Gone so far. I'm going to have to bring it around now. As you can see, that's what I've done there. I'm going to put a log here for the bird to sit on. Put some rings in it. Now, do a splintered end on this side. There. The bird is sitting on a log there now. Right, I'm going to carry on working on the detail, but I'll be using the finer bit now. And that will be shading and doing things like that. Right then, we've got a very simple depiction of a songbird. It's accurate enough to see what it is. And, you know, it just adds that little bit of ornamental flavour to the hiking stick itself. Obviously, I've got my logo there. Won't be the right way up for you guys. Folklore. I think it's because of the way I'm recording on the camera. But that's it. And this is now ready to be oiled and dry. So that's one down. I've got 4 to do. So I better start cracking on and stop talking. Well, I've done all the wood burning. I've got a couple songbirds, 2 stags, a hare gazing at the moon. My logos are complete. All I got to do now is add the finishing boiled linseed oil to these, the varnish to the candy cane modelled one, and I'm done. But yeah, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee before I go any further. Right then, even with the poor lighting, you can see this hiking stick, the colours are beginning to pop right out. The wood's beginning to look nice. It's soaking in all that varnish. Obviously, I'm going to have to do this again in 24 hours time. And you can see why we call it the candy cane model. It looks really nice. Try not to stand on any wasted varnish. There's the dormouse, butterfly, and the other one that's curled up in a ball in its nest. But yeah, looking very nice. I'm going to put that indoors now and clean up any wasted varnish here. Boiled linseed now. Right, let's get one of these. Right. Working it into the top of the handle here. Right, we have 5 hiking sticks with their finishing coat of boiled linseed oil. I will probably have to come back and give them another coat because I can already see this wood is sucking in that oil like there's no tomorrow. So yeah, I'll probably come out tomorrow morning and realise if the wood is still wet, that's all the oil that wood will take. You can keep throwing oil on it, but it won't suck any more in. So yeah, depending on what or how much oil these sticks have soaked in tomorrow, they'll either have another coat, and I've got a feeling they will. I can tell just by experience they're going to need another coat tomorrow. And you just repeat that process. If it sucks all that oil in again, you know you've got to give it another coat. I do have to polish up the copper tips. As you can see, they all need polishing up, possibly a little bit of a file on the end just to clean them up. But that is the absolute final stages of these sticks. But yeah, quite a productive time in the workshop getting these and that candy cane one done. Right then guys, thanks for coming along with me and being in the workshop with me while I do a little bit of crafting. It hasn't been direct hands-on woodwork. It's been more the finishing details to the sticks, doing the artwork, doing the prep before I go into applying the finishing products. We've got 5 sticks with boiled linseed. They're out there drying. I'll know full well, like I was discussing, I'll have to give them another coat tomorrow. As for the candy cane, I've got another 2 days ahead of me applying polyurethane and letting that dry. And if it hasn't got the result I want at the end, I may have to sand a little bit of that back and apply another coat of finishing coat on top. So that could be another day. But that's for me to start looking at tomorrow, not today. I'm closing the workshop down today. What I didn't mention is I've also got a craft fair coming up, and I've committed to that. I'll have to get 30 odd sticks together just to do that craft fair, and that will be my cheaper end of the market, because obviously at a craft fair it's what people have in their wallet and they're willing to pay on the day. So yeah, 30 odd sticks on top of custom orders coming in, doing the odd bit for shops, walking customers, and getting a little bit for stock for myself running up to Christmas, and trying to keep a little bit on eBay as well. Yeah, as you can see, it's extremely busy in here for a small crafting workshop. And I'm just looking at these. You may have remembered from a previous video my Valhalla model blanks that I've got. I still haven't even touched them. Such is life. You know, the pet products and the projects which are a little bit more exotic than the normal run-of-the-mill hiking sticks, sometimes they get put on the shelf or on hold just to keep up with what's got to go through the workshop. They will get done, and we'll be crafting those soon. But yeah, thanks for coming along. I've now got to sit out in the garden with a cup of coffee and let the dogs and the puppy have a run round. So thanks for coming with me today. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys on the trail.